Welcome back to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Today is Friday, August 9th, 2019. We hope everybody had a great work week. Starting off your weekend here at the grandsolarminimum.com. We'll get right into it, guys. First, let's take a look at our solar wind speed, sitting around 632.6 kilometers per second with a density of 1.9. Just like earlier this morning, our KP indice is at 2 and the 24-hour max still at a 2. And currently 2 days without sunspots, bringing us to 147 for 2019. Now, the TCI has risen a little bit and then dropped down a little bit as well. It went up during our solar storms when we had earlier last week, or earlier in the week, I should say. And it did observe the temperature going up at that time when we were being bombarded by solar wind speeds that topped out around 1.6 million miles per hour. So let's go over to our space weather section here at the grandsolarminimum.com. Actually, our update on our KP indice is now at a 3. So once reported at a 2 is now at a 3. And let's take a look at our SDO in motion. If it will work. Maybe not. We may not be getting a motion SD, that's fine. Let's take a look at the coronal hole here in the southern part of the equatorial region, which is believed that will affect us. They're calling for the 10th through the 11th, so that's going to be within the next 24 to 36 hours. This is the area that they believe is going to affect the southern part of the magnetic field. Nothing really major. I don't think they're predicting any kind of geomagnetic storms or anything of that nature whatsoever. Looking at the eastern limb of our star, we don't have anything at the moment that would be of any concern. Let's take a look and see if we have any future coronal holes or sunspots possible. And it looks like we have some weak corona in the negative 90 region. And the same part right now we're experiencing the southern part of the star. So again, quiet conditions appear to be hanging around for a few more days, if not a few more weeks. Minus that we get one of these pop-up sunspots that we have seen from time to time. I know a lot of folks really didn't quite agree with the past sunspot that we just announced, the AR 2747, as pretty much a non-existent sunspot in a lot of ways. But nevertheless, it was named and numbered, and just like last month, we had maybe 1 or 2 days of spots, and then the rest of the month was pretty quiet. And then right now, so far in August, we're experiencing the same thing. Only 2 days of this month so far with sunspots. Granted, it's only the 9th, but the ratio is still there. So, and looking at what we have coming in the near future, at this time, it just doesn't appear that we're going to have any worries about any kind of new sunspots or anything like that. Coronal holes, yes, plenty of those. But right now, sunspots will definitely be lacking, as they have been most of the spring and summer. Taking a look at our TSI reading for July 31st, 2019. Still kind of hanging out in that 1360.703 range. We've witnessed a peak around 1360.8. And then since then, it's kind of slowly made its way back down to the 1360.7 range. And that is a little bit up compared to where we usually see these values, hovering around the 1360.6 and 1360.65 region. Now, I watched a video the other day that was talking about TSI, and that because of how small of a decline that we're going to see in TSI, that it's not enough. It's just simply not enough to affect the climate on this planet. And that's where people really become naive and close the door when they look at the amount of drop in TSI, total solar radiance. And based on that number, folks can say, that's just not enough. Now, there's more drop in TSI as far as percentage than there is CO2 being emitted into the atmosphere by humans. What I'm saying is the humans contribute 0.004% CO2 in our atmosphere. So when you look at TSI, it decreases by 0.10 or 0.20 over a certain period of time. So to me, TSI is a little bit bigger than a CO2 reading, for one, but yet the CO2 reading supposedly drives the climate. And when you think about how big the sun is, that little bit of TSI drop or increase is a lot in many ways. So very close-minded. The video I was a little disappointed with because it was almost misleading. If you are watching Grand Solar Minimum related topics, you watch this video and think, oh, this is well edited. Okay, I'm listening. He goes over the truth about cycles and all that, and then bam, he hits you. It's a man-made global warming video and how Grand Solar Minimum is not going to cool or anything like that. They're saying the amount that we're going to cool during this Grand Solar Minimum is 0.3 degrees Celsius. Well, since 2006, we've already cooled 0.52 degrees Celsius just in the 3 years, and we've only begun. And when you talk about scientists who are predicting solar cycle 25 to be well below 24, and we've already made the correlation that fewer sunspots correlate with lower temperatures, I think you guys know how to do the math. All right, we're going to get into some world news tonight. Mari, go ahead and take us away on our world news report. Mari?
Thank you, Jake. A strong and shallow earthquake registered by the USGS as a 5.8 hit western Turkey at 11:25 UTC on August 8th, 2019. The agency is reporting a depth of 10 kilometers, that's 6.2 miles. EMSC is reporting a mag 5.7 at a depth of 10 kilometers, that's 4.3 miles. The quake was preceded by a 4.3 at 11:19 UTC. At this time, there's no reports of damages, according to the city's mayor, Osman Zolan. We also have not received any reports of casualties. Teams are working on understanding the extent of the damage. At least 10 people have drowned and 7 more are missing after a rescue boat carrying at least 30 people capsized during a rescue operation near Coronal village in Maharashtra's Sangle district on Thursday morning, August 8th, 2019. Local police said rescue operations were underway after a boat capsized around 10 o'clock local time on Thursday. Most Talakas in Sangli and Kolhapur districts are currently facing severe floods. Various rescue teams of local authorities, along with NDRF, Army, and the Navy, are undertaking the rescue operations and moving people to safer places. At least 16 people died in the state during the first 7 days of the month and 138 between June 1st and July 31st. By comparison, 57 people have lost their lives during the 2 monsoon months of 2018. A total of 279 people have died in natural calamities and disasters last year. Nearly 250,000 people have been evacuated in flood-hit parts of the state since the start of the monsoon season. 342 bridges have gone underwater. 29 state highways and 56 roads have also been shut. All the dams in the region are overflowing, and the Met Department has predicted continuous rains for the next 3 to 4 days. So if the catchment of areas of dams receive more rain, the possibility of more floods cannot be ruled out. This comes from Divisional Commissioner Deepak Mazkar. In Yemen, at least 12 are killed after heavy rain and flash floods. Heavy monsoon rains affecting parts of Yemen on August 6th and 7th displaced hundreds of people and left at least 12 people dead. The worst hit was the northwestern province of Maui, affected by southwest monsoon each year, June through September. 9 people passed from drowning after severe floods destroyed several houses and inundated others in the Milan district. Unfortunately, the number of casualties rose to 12 on August 8th. According to local media reports, health authorities and residents are in fear of cholera spreading in the rainy season as ongoing civil war has damaged many health facilities and disabled much of the infrastructure for clean water and sanitation. We have a red alert issued ahead of Typhoon Lakima making landfall in China's Zhejiang province. Typhoon Lakima strengthened into a Category 4 super typhoon late August 7th, 2019. Before moving over Japan's southern Ryukyu Islands, it is now weakening on its way towards eastern China. Landfall is expected in the coastal areas of the Zhejiang province in China late August 9th into August 10th. A red typhoon warning has been issued for the coast of Taiwan, Hangzhou Bay, Yangtze River, estuary, coastal regions of Zhejiang, Shanghai, and southern Jiangsu, China, while a red warning for heavy rain, strong wind, high waves, and storm surge is in effect over the Ryukyu archipelago in Japan. More heavy rains and flash flood to hit central China, leaving 29 people dead and 4 missing. Heavy rain affecting parts of central China this week caused deadly flash floods in which at least 32 people lost their lives. CCTV reports dozens of tourists were trapped or washed away Sunday night at a gorge in the Hubei province after heavy rain caused a severe flash flood. 13 people have reportedly died and 61 were rescued. Authorities said the area, although very popular for boat rides on its crystal clear waters, did not have the right conditions to receive tourists. In their notice issued last month, county authorities prohibited vehicles and individuals from even entering the area, but tourists kept coming with unlicensed guides. Take a look at this very large landslide that hit Myanmar's Mon State. A large landslide caused by heavy monsoon rains hit southern Myanmar on August 9th, 2019, toppling 10 houses and leaving at least 15 dead. At least 30 others are missing. According to Myanmar Fire Services Department, the landslide took place as the mountainside of Malat Mountain collapsed in Phuong Township, Mon State. At least 15 people have been killed, 30 are still missing, and 27 have been injured. Search and rescue operations are still in progress. It's difficult to tell the figures of casualties as search and rescue operations are still being carried out. The region was already dealing with heavy flooding, with transportation limited or entirely shut down. Train routes between Rangoon to Yi Township have been canceled, and much of the highways completely submerged in water have been closed off to cars, especially in Belin Township, where the Mon State government has opened up 8 camps that are currently housing 1,000 people displaced by the flooding. Some 26,000 people from the 14 townships across the state have been displaced since August 3rd. This reminds me, around the same time, 2 years ago, I covered this pagoda collapse after heavy rainfall in Myanmar. I published this July 24th, 2017. Indonesian authorities have raised the alert level for Slamet volcano in central Java from a 1 to a 2 on August 9th. The last eruption of this volcano took place in 2014. Center of Volcanology and Disaster Mitigation, the PVMBG, raised the status of the volcano due to a significant increase in seismic activity and deformation. There are still no visual signs of an eruption, the center said. The current potential threat is a magmatic eruption with incandescent material possible within a 2-kilometer or 1.2-mile radius, or a phreatic eruption and ash around the potential crater. Both can happen without precursors. The volcano has had numerous VEI 1 and 2 eruptions since 1772. That's it for the world news bit. Jake, back to you.
Well, thank you, Mari. This is the beginning of a new segment of our program, and we will continue to operate in this fashion. All right, guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Do you like this show? Give us a thumbs up. Want to support us more? Share to your favorite social media platform. Buy a t-shirt or become a Patreon. All links are in the description below.
All right, let's see if I can kind of change the mood now, guys. Found a couple of articles that I wanted to go over tonight in our climate news section. And it never amazes me. The state of New York has already considered a ban on hot dogs. Now, Germany is taking it a step further. As we see here at What's Up With That, I was reading this, and they want to tax meat at 19%. The idea is that if it's too expensive to buy, then it would save animals. It would, livestock welfare would go up. And apparently these folks think that less farmland, they're saying a third of the farmland would be used compared to what it would be if we fully didn't tax the meat. That's what the goal is here. They don't want basically that animals being raised, livestock, is causing CO2 as well. They're flagellants, of course. Oh boy. I guess you could make the argument too that if you have less pigs and cattle to raise, that you don't have to worry about all that feed that you have to give them, stuff like that. Because right now we're already hearing reports that cows are now being fed stale donuts instead of corn feed in some farms. Desperate times, guys. Call for new solutions. Most of the people think that Germans is wealthy. There is a lot of poverty in Germany, actually. According to the DW article in 2018, around 20% of Germans are struggling to pay their bills and heat their homes. The new meat tax, if passed, will simply add to their already intolerable burden. We talked about Germany not too long ago, about the green collapse here. Their energy prices are through the roof, so to speak. So if you can't afford to heat your home or keep the lights on, and you can't afford to eat meat, well, I mean, Germany is literally forcing you to take part in growing your own garden. Because you're going to need a lot of veggies to make up for supposedly the meat that you're used to eating. You know, I don't get this. I don't understand why there's actual people out there who have a scientific opinion believe that taxing meat will help fight climate change. It's absolutely asinine, completely asinine. So you're asking yourself, well, if we don't eat meat, what do we do next? Yeah, that's right. Eat insects. Meat patch to stop cravings. New UN report takes aim at eating meat. UN seeks expansion of climate agenda to regulate what you eat. So over here at Climate Depot, Mark Morano has a good point. That's the best. Mari, do you Do you see this? Do you see the cow?
I do.
Okay. I'll take a flyer here. Climate activists cheered the UN report. We need a radical transformation, not incremental shifts, towards a global land of use and food system that serves our climate needs. The Climate Depot's Mark Morano notes, get ready, UN coming after your burgers and steaks to save the planet. This is yet another report from the UN IPCC intended to empower the UN bureaucrats to essentially plan our lives for no impact on the climate. Now, amazingly, in the 1970s, experts blamed global cooling for a coming food crisis. And here is a link, flashback 1974. And go to the full actual article here. This is what guys, you say what you want about where we pull our information from. When I show papers about the climate, proof about CO2 and everything, and I show like a no tricks zone or a realclimatescience.com, and the first thing I get is, well, that's from a climate blog. That don't count. But yet they provide the actual links, the actual proof. Well, this one wants me to start a free trial, but you get the point, guys. Everything's here for you to look at for yourself. Each time you click on a link, there's another link to verify what the link that you just clicked on for the link. The proof is everywhere on these so-called climate change blogs. The predictable solution, taxes, regulations, and more. We just talked about that in Germany. Global warming, eating insects could help tackle climate change. Let's take a look at this. Oh boy. Replacing half of meat eaten worldwide with crickets and mealworms would cut farmland use by a third, substantially reducing emissions of greenhouse gases, researchers say. While consumers reluctant to eat insects may limit their consumption, even a small increase would bring benefits, the team says. This could potentially be achieved by using insects as ingredients for prepackaged foods. Some of this stuff we eat now, I wouldn't be surprised if insects were used to make it. Researchers say that replacing meat with crickets and mealworms could help tackle climate change. Yeah, sure. Using data collected primarily by the UN's Food and Agricultural Organization, scientists compared the environmental impacts of conventional meat production with those of alternative sources of food. It is the first study to do so. They said it would cut farmland use and reduce emissions of greenhouse gases. Researchers at the University of Edinburgh and Scotland's Rural College considered a scenario in which half of the current mix of animal products is replaced by insects, lab-grown meat, and imitation meat. I'm just going to go on a limb here and say this. And Mari, you know I'm telling the truth when I say this. I will eat mushrooms before I eat insects. And that is a promise. I will saute those babies in butter and garlic, whatever I need, but I will eat the hell out of some mushrooms the day they start replacing meat with insects and crickets. I know there's some of you survivalists out there who say it's a rich source in protein, and I'm not doubting that, but I'm just telling you right now, if that's how they want to play around with the meat situation, I think more and more people are going to start gardens, which in a way, this is kind of beneficial, getting people motivated to grow their own food instead of, some waxworms or whatever. I mean, hey, if you're hungry, you're going to do it. And this goes back to a program I watched on the Weather Channel. This guy's actually kind of cool. I watch his shows from time to time where he's a survivalist, and he shows us tricks on how to start fires and how to build shelters and what to do if you injure yourself, how to build a splint, and all this good stuff. Really cool guy. But one episode he fried up some crickets, some grasshoppers, or no, it was crickets, and he had some salt and stuff like that to kind of throw in the pan and butter them up a little bit, and the guy was eating it, And, you know, I don't care if you're a paid actor or not. Your face will make the natural reaction. No matter if it's, you know, if it's bad, your face will say it's bad. You can't hide it. And this guy actually like bit into the cricket, was chewing on it. His face was straight, and, you know, he said it was kind of nutty, a nutty texture to it. I mean, I get it. If you're hungry and watching shows like that, and where this guy's actually showing us how to cook them up, I mean, you're going to try it, right? I guess if I absolutely have to. But I'm pretty confident that that mushroom thing is probably going to be a better thing for me anyway. And I'm sure Rachel and Carlton will agree with me as that. But there's probably better nutrients in mushrooms than there is insects. I mean, maybe not. I don't know. Birds eat them, so why can't people eat them, right? Okay. From gross to grosser. No, I'm not talking about Michael. No. Maybe I should give Michael Moore a little break here. Let's go to the actual article here. So what it looks like, and I haven't seen the documentary, but from what I'm reading from this, it appears that Michael Moore has made a documentary, and again, it didn't sound like that his belief in man-made climate change was part of this flick, but if I'm not mistaken, it appears that Michael Moore is bringing to light that this green energy promise is not what it seems to be. And that's interesting to see. I mean, this guy has come out with some extreme films. Bowling for Columbine, Fahrenheit 9/11. And, you know, they put here in quotes, both know that the film is going to be a tough pill to swallow, talking about Michael Moore and Gibbs. It was a difficult eye-opener for them as well. It says here, we all want to feel good about something like the electric car, but in the back of your head somewhere, you've got to think, yeah, but where is the electricity coming from? And it's like, I don't want to think about that. I'm glad we have electric cars. This is quotes from Michael Moore. He also says, I've passed by windmill farms and oh, it's so beautiful to see them going, and don't tell me we've gone too far now and it isn't going to save us. Well, my feeling has just hit me with everything. I'm like, let's just deal with it now all at once. He sounds like a Valley girl. I don't understand what's going on here at this point. But he was talking about how they were worried about when they did the screening of this in Traverse City, Michigan, which is in the UP, which is in a colder climate too, by the way, which also they could probably vouch that solar and wind is not working. But that's what this film is supposed to be about. That maybe solar and wind aren't really the solutions that we were hoping for. And I think, and I'd have to see this flick, but from what I can tell from this write-up, that Michael Moore, and it even says down here at the bottom, where is it at? I thought it was important that they noted this. They wanted people to make sure. He makes a comment and says, you know, just to be on record here, the people making this film, we're not climate. Okay, here it is. It's up to people who actually share the same values to sometimes call each other out and bring out uncomfortable truths. Now, this is where they're bringing out the uncomfortable truth that solar and wind is not working, Gibbs said. And then he goes on by saying, this is not a film by climate change deniers. This is a film by people who really care about the environment. No, what this is the beginning of the backpedal from the AGW, and they're going to get a couple of radical left-wing people like Michael Moore involved because he's done a good job at manipulating the masses in the past. So now they're going to say they realize that this has got to create some huge turmoil right now for the Democratic Party. This is dated August 8th. Okay, again, Michael Moore is not a conservative, Republican, anything like that. He, if anything, you would have to put him in the middle or the left, the far left sometimes. So if you're a Democratic presidential campaign tonight and you're hearing about this report where you have one of America's top conspiracy theorist, Michael Moore, talking about how, hey, wait a minute. Maybe green energy isn't as good as we thought it was going to be for us. Oh, we care about the people now. They're getting screwed. Oh, no. This is the beginning of the backpedal. That they're starting to realize there's no way that they're going to be able to avoid the questions that are going to come to them in a year, 2, 3 years from now about cooling, about crop loss, about food crises, about food shortages, because their prediction was the opposite. Global warming means, CO2 is higher than it has been in a long time. All right, and it keeps climbing. And I want to keep noting that the temperatures keep falling. Anybody wants a source for that, go to royspencer.com and look at his temperature readings that he puts out on the 1st of every month. You can clearly see in that graph, we have a cooling trend since 2016. Next month is going to also be the month of reckoning when it comes to that new reading, when we get August's numbers. Will it drop even more? If I had to guess, yeah. Could stay where it's at too. Maybe it goes up, maybe 0.02. We'll talk more about that as well when we get into the weather part of our program tonight. But guys, we'll leave the links in the description, or actually on the website here at thegrandsolarminimum.com. Again, now we're starting to see some peculiar behavior within this green policy here. And of all people, and this is bad timing for Democrats. This documentary basically, like it says here, tackles false promises of green energy. So believe it or not, I have to read this headline in this article to say that Michael Moore is actually nitpicking solar and wind and the promises that are being made about green energy that are not being kept. Very strange move. But like I said, this is happening strategically for a reason. The backpedal begins. And it starts right here. No, they don't want to admit that they're climate change. They still think man has everything to do with it, and they can. But they're also realizing in a hurry that green energy is not going to save us. And even Michael in a third-person comment saying, "Oh, don't tell me that these windmills are bad for us and blah blah blah." No, they are. They are. Quickly wanted to point out another article, what's up with that, talking about how much energy storage costs must fall to reach renewable energy's full potential. Again. So, I know AOC is really big about criticizing people on our side of this argument or theory that it's going to cost too much to build, to maintenance, to harvest, everything. And we all know that the storage costs are already through the roof. So we talked about what costs or what things have to happen for things to be efficient and for Americans or people all over the world to benefit from renewable energy. But the reason why I'm pointing this article out to people is that for all of those folks out there who want to glorify green energy, solar and wind, all those folks that want to glorify it as if it's going to save us because they think man makes a difference in the climate, point to this article. And then also find the article on What's Up With That talks about how the states that have solar panels and wind farms incorporated with their grids also have anywhere from 17 to 41% increase in their electricity bills. There's a small town in Texas where some folks were paying $1,000 a month for electricity. I don't care if it was because of the extreme heat and they had to run the AC on every day. I've seen high electricity bills before because of that, and it didn't get anywhere near $1,000. A few $100, $300-$400 definitely, but not no $1,100, $1,086, whatever the number I saw. But just another piece of proof. And again, they're citing an article, a study that was published in the journal. MIT researchers answer this question in this journal. So it's not just about what it's going to cost to get it going, but what it's going to cost to keep it going. And how are we going to be able to afford that? If we're going to get a meat tax, and now we're going to get a green tax, and then we're going to get a penalty for using coal or natural gas. So those are going to be taxed too. And then next, guys, listen, next is your gas prices. Thank God I own a hybrid. And not because I'm worried about global warming. I got the hybrid because I drive a lot for my job. I travel all over. Saves me lots of money. I probably put gas in my car once every 2 to 3 weeks, depending on where I have to go. If I'm local, I have 3 weeks easily. And thank God, because I'm not going to be able to afford a full tank every week. If they're increasing taxes on meat, it ain't long now before we see the increase in taxing on gasoline once again. And prices will go through the roof. Yeah, oil's cheap right now. Prices are hovering around $2.69 here in upstate. That's good. That's not bad. Not bad at all. Not for the heart of summer. This is where people are on the road the most. You would expect them to really stick it to you and try to push the gas prices as far as possible. I remember Memorial Day weekend, it appeared we were going to pierce the $2.90 mark, but we kind of got as high as like $2.85, and then it went back down to the average price a couple weeks later. So when it's coming, we don't know, but the more of these green policies that continue to get passed, the higher chances of taxes just being raised on everything we do, from eating to driving your car to heating your house to watching TV, anything, period. And again, I want to bring up too, storage is a big problem. And I remember when I first started this channel, Lee Wheelbarger talked a lot about this, the power wall for these solar panels, especially ones that Elon Musk developed, didn't work. And that's all I remember him talking about was the storage issues. There's no way it's going to work. The storage, the biggest issue right now is storage and the cost of it. And again, this article surfaces 2 years after the fact that I first heard Lee Wheelbarger talking about this particular situation here. All right, guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this quick little break.
Do you like this show? Give us a thumbs up. Want to support us more? Share to your favorite social media platform. Buy a t-shirt or become a Patreon. All links are in the description below.
All right, so finally we're back with our weather news, and Mari has put together a few footages here. Here's tornadoes everywhere. This is in Luxembourg, 1730 local time, August 9, 2019, causing significant damage and injuring at least 6 people. Take a look at this footage real quick if we can. Again, I can't stress this enough, folks. We really appreciate you being as bold as you are, taking the time to get this footage, but please make sure it is safely done. And this is just an example of the power of a tornado, even at an EF1. This probably looks to me like an EF2 if I had to guess. There's some more footage as well. This is in the Netherlands. The speed of this tornado, Mari, you watched this footage, I'm assuming. It reminds you of water spouts almost, or a dust devil. Just how quickly these spin-ups come across wherever it is they're tearing up. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
This particular tornado caused about 100 damage to about 100 homes.
Step up over here real quick, Maria. You just talking in the background just doesn't cut it.
I know. I was just chilling out on the couch. You know me.
The green room couch.
That tornado, very unusual. We do get rare tornadoes out in that area from time to time. That particular one caused damage to about 100 homes. It downed trees and blocked roads and damaged cars. I'm sure there's more footage now. I would have put that in the world news section, but it came out after, so
we got it late. That's all right.
Got it late. I just stuck it in. So
no problem.
Sorry about that. Surprised I forgot to tell you about that, Jake.
So, Ring of Fire weather pattern brings heat wave, and here's the setup basically into next week. Thunderstorms continuing to fire up, just like we've seen over the past couple of days here in New York, across Ohio, Kansas, Nebraska, Indiana, Illinois. Get right into it. I'll show you what we're talking about. So, bless you. Taking a look at our GFS starting tomorrow, we got scattered showers across the south and the Ohio Valley. Some lingering in the northeast, but really concentrating on that line of storms in South Dakota, moving across southern Minnesota into Wisconsin, as we have another low pressure system setting up in the northwest on Sunday. More rain across Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, in the deep south, Georgia, South Carolina. You guys will definitely have scattered showers as this high pressure system begins to take its place in the U.S. Look at this. Monday, your first round of big thunderstorms. Possibly some severe weather to watch out here in Nebraska, South Dakota. Matt, watch out, bud. You might get clipped by this weather here on Monday. Showers still hanging around in the south. This is that first low pressure system. It's going to go rake across the Great Lakes into New York. Looking at some pretty heavy rain by next Tuesday of next week. As this system moves out, we've got showers from Maine all the way through the Tennessee Valley into Louisiana, Mississippi, and even parts of Georgia as well. Southern Florida also getting a part of this action. And another cool front coming down before we really get things heated up. Thunderstorms heading into North Carolina, Virginia. By Thursday, that is off to the East Coast. Another line of storms firing up again, back to the west and the northern plains, another Great Lakes system. And as we go through Saturday, next week's kind of lame. And then it fires up on Sunday, August 18th. That's the 18th. So, according to the Weather Channel, we're supposed to watch this ring of thunderstorms that are going to be rotating around this heated up area. And right here, GFS is showing a sudden development of a storm here on Sunday, August 18th. Interesting look. This storm suddenly gains a little bit and kind of just leaves the coast by the 19th. But behind it, this other little low pressure system is creating quite a bit of a ruckus here across South Dakota, Nebraska, Minnesota, Iowa once again, Wisconsin, Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky. Light showers back into the northeast as this low pressure is moving away from the east coast. Another big low pressure system is settling across the Ohio Valley and moving into the mid-Atlantic states. More so West Virginia, North Carolina will see the bulk of this rain. Parts of Mississippi and Arkansas also looking to get a little bit of action from this. And it just seems like the atmosphere continues to reload. And this week and next week, it looks like the story is going to be in the south and the southeast as far as heavy rains. Different times, Nebraska and South Dakota, Iowa, Minnesota, you'll see your share as heavy rain as well. And then we're going to point our focus back into the Gulf. Now, the last broadcast, when we were looking at the GFS, we talked about this little system that looked like it was going to develop more closer to the Houston area. Well, now GFS has a different idea on where this storm could be. Now, I want to talk to you guys. Just a couple of weeks ago, we showed you the worst case scenario of a particular hurricane that we thought originally, according to the 00, was going to stay here for a couple of days and then make its way up the coast. Now, right now, the pressure forecasted, not a big deal, guys. Not a big deal for now. I will say, at this time, if this storm in the Gulf, now right here, it doesn't look like it's a hurricane, probably a tropical depression, still a tropical storm here, maybe slight Cat 1 strafe. It still could be just a tropical storm as it goes across Florida. And then the thinking is now that it could be a Cat 1 on the eastern side of Florida by August 24th. Now, this storm is projected, and this model usually is the best case scenario. Normally, the GFS doesn't overdo it on this particular model run is what I'm saying. So interesting to see that this hurricane that we saw 2 weeks ago in the 00F forecast models to make its way up the East Coast. And right now, this storm is hugging the East Coast. But the good news is that it doesn't appear to be anything more serious than a Cat 1 at this time. Again, this is very early. This is the first time I've seen this on the run. Now let's take a look at the 00. And usually the worst case scenario, they don't really have much going on here. They had this storm appearing a little earlier, but not making its way through the Gulf, more or less forming just like we saw 2 weeks ago, but not quite spending as much time near Florida. But this is almost the exact model run of the first time we talked to you guys about this storm. Not quite as big, though, going across the East Coast. So we got one model that's saying that, we might have problems with this. Another model is taking it a little further away from the East Coast, not even forming in the Gulf. Again, this storm, according to this model run, guys, and let me go back to the 18Z. According to this model run, this storm is going to start in the Gulf. Here it is. I'm going to point it out. Right down here. See the tip of my arrow. Let me move this forward a little bit. This thing makes entry into the Gulf, kind of tries to make up its mind what it wants to do, according to this model run now. And here's where we see that ring of thunderstorm fire, if you want to call it that. That's what Weather Channel is trying to say. But interesting enough, we got one storm up here in the East Coast that looks like it could be a tropical depression. Definitely going to be a storm of some sort. We don't know what yet. Last week, when we talked about this possibility, this low pressure was here and this low pressure was here. Now the models have shifted it over east. But the worst part about it is that this storm is going to make landfall, go across Florida, and then rake the entire East Coast. Boy, I bet, let me guess, there's high pressure in Greenland. Hot dog. So, as I kind of suspected, the way this storm is moving, okay, there is a bit of a high pressure block in Greenland. And a lot of times when we see these high pressure blocks, these Greenland blocks, especially in the wintertime, we tend to see these nor'easters that hug the coast. And looking at this, we have clear evidence that there is a good chance that we could see some blocking here. And this storm could indeed rake the coast here on the East Coast. Again, this is about 2 weeks out. It's still early to talk about, but this did appear on the radar about 10 days ago when we came on the air and talked about the potential of the storm. Also want to mention that the forecast for snow in the Alberta and BC area is back on the 17th. And then I think once again towards the end of August, some slight chance. Nope. So it's moved back. We originally thought the 21st, but now it's looking more like the 16th and the 17th. Still, a lot to happen for this storm to be dangerous. There's a lot of unknowns right now. We will continue to monitor it the best we can. And right now, I think it's just a matter of, it's just good to be aware. I kind of believe the GFS has this high pressure system not centered the way the Weather Channel is saying this high pressure system is supposed to be settled up next week for this temperature increase. Let's go ahead and take a look at temps real quick. I don't see the match. I could be wrong. This weekend, beautiful weather here across the Northeast, guys. It's not even going to feel like summer out here. 72 degrees in the capital region. Other areas will be in the upper 50s. Thor, let me know, big guy. Let me know. 54 degrees possible in your neck of the woods for a daytime high on Saturday, Dog Day, August 10th. Yeah. The heat's going to stay in the Southeast and Florida and Texas. No doubt. Mid 80s and lower 90s in Oklahoma and Kansas and Nebraska. Upper 80s for areas like McCook, Nebraska, southern part of Nebraska. But once you get in the middle of the state and up, middle 80s, lower 70s, there's a spot of 63 degrees in Minnesota, 69 in Iowa, mid 70s. I mean, just gorgeous weather everywhere across the Midwest and the Northeast, guys. Nighttime lows, the windows will be open, the AC will be off. It's going to feel awesome out here, Midwest and Ohio. Heat staying to the south, Northwest getting a little cool. Daytime highs for Monday, starting the next work week. There's your heat down in the south. Racing across Arkansas and Missouri as well, trying to reach the Ohio Valley and Pennsylvania. That heat in the south stays in the south, that high pressure system. So here's where the Weather Channel thinks we're going to have all this heat with this high pressure dome, and it's only going to last for a couple of days. But look at the daytime highs here as we go through August, getting close to the end of the month. Starting to get back to normal summer weather here. Around the 19th of August, it gets a little bit more warmer, but still parts of them. Look, Northern Plains, Wisconsin, 63 degrees for your daytime high on August 20th. That's, 10 days away? There's spots in Oregon and Washington. Look at this, 41 degrees for a daytime high. Again, sporadic 60s and 70s come back for the 20th. So we get a little bit of a warm-up from the 16th through the 20th, and then temperatures kind of drop back down again in the Midwest, the Northern Plains, the Northeast. Heat staying in Texas, Oklahoma, and the South, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and Florida. Can't forget you folks out there in Arizona as well, parts of New Mexico. Look at that. August 21st. I mean, this looks insane as far as high temperatures to me. For August 21st. All the heat is just directed in Texas and Oklahoma. Shout out to a friend down there who said today the temperature was 200 degrees. I'm sure it wasn't that high, but the temperature I saw you do on the ground was over 130 degrees. I can't imagine standing in a 130 degree parking lot. It was hot enough for sure. So it might have felt like 200 degrees today for sure. If you're getting a temperature on the parking lot of 130, folks, it's hot. But that's also in Dallas, Texas, in the Dallas, Texas area. We'll continue to see this heat over the next 10 to 15 days. That's not going to stop. Texas is definitely the hot spot, no doubt, for the next several days, if almost weeks right now. In fact, all that heat that we're not getting in the rest of the United States is going to be made up for in Texas. But look at this, guys. Daytime highs by August 25th. The Rockies and Wyoming, we're already starting to see the 50s. The upper elevations are already starting to cool off. Are we going to see snow in September in these areas? Is it possible? Or am I just being ridiculous? I could be being ridiculous, but still. Some strange temperature patterns here for the month of August, not just here in the Northeast, the Northwest, the Northern Plains, other spots. I mean, we'll continue to watch this, folks. Grand solar minimum, right? All right, Mari, I think that's going to do it for us tonight. You got anything you'd like to add before we sign off this crazy broadcast we've had tonight, especially in the beginning? Crazy. I think YouTube lost its mind when they heard your angelic voice. They're like, speaking. No,
Mari, don't do it. Don't give the world
They
news.
know now that Mari's speaking.
Don't tell everyone.
The world will listen.
I don't know, Jake. I'm going to assess the situation when we go off air and see what in the world happened. Anyway, it will be remedied, and if you need to go back and re-listen to it, it'll be available in its untouched form, I promise. I would like to give shout outs. We have all kinds of mods here tonight. I'm just so surprised to see everyone here. But then again, it's Friday night, isn't it, Jake? Mm-hmm. So I'd like to thank Daniel. I'm thanking the super chatters first. I'd like to thank Daniel, Matt Bros, Julian Lamp, Tugta says we will watch even if it's glitched or blurred. We love you guys. Thank you so much. Julian Lamp said, I've learned of your channel a couple months ago. I wondered if you had any insight to the 7.1 earthquake in Alaska. on November 30th. You know what? It's so long ago, I'd have to look back to recall.
Yeah.
So,
and that's unfair because there's so many earthquakes.
Leave a comment on this video, and then when I have a chance, I will get back to you on it. Hewley did a superhero sticker and says he really appreciates what we do here on the channel. Soul Quest representing the 216. Thank you very much. And Daniel, again, with another super chat. Thank you guys very, very much.
Hey, Soul Quest, they looked pretty good last night, didn't they, big guy? All right, go ahead.
He's Cleveland Brown. You were such.
He knows. We don't have to talk.
Okay.
Me and Soul Quest, we got that thing. That's right. We know what we're talking about. Shake and bake.
And then Zenith said, I think you're being throttled. The video was coming out clear on their phone, but the computer was all low res, and they think we're being throttled. It's, you know, the views, we'll post a video, it'll go hours without getting a comment.
Yep.
Maybe it'll get 100 views. I mean, we have tens of thousands of subscribers. Something's up.
Yeah, we went from averaging 6,000 to 7,000 views a day to we're lucky to see 1,000 views.
Oh, it's like it goes
weird.
down and down and down.
Something
and down.
happened.
Somebody flipped the switch on us, and
not just us, but other channels that speak on topics similar to this are getting affected by this too.
It's so bad, and our videos are being ranked as low as 76% lower performing than normal. I mean, 76% below normal. That's what we're looking at. It's awful. So a lot of people have recommended other platforms, and I am tweeting and Facebooking where those are. I'm actually afraid to even say the names of these.
We're not going to in the broadcast.
Because it's like they'll penalize us even more for mentioning it.
We'll communicate to you folks on other platforms to let you know what's happening.
I'm posting links around. We are branching out to, more outlets. Let's just say that. And that's all I got right now. I'm not in the chat, so I can't see what people are.
Thank you, Mari. Appreciate what you do as always. And again, on Monday, and when we do our live broadcast once again, we hopefully will have what we were intending to show you guys was our news segment of the world news. We felt like that Mari does a great job. She has a great voice. And I wanted to utilize her a little bit more for our live broadcast to help make these shows a little more enjoyable. And, honestly, the video footage with her reporting, we see the videos that she does for Grand Solar Minimum. So this was not really a surprise that she could do this, but I think it's going to help with the experience of watching this program 3 times a week. Plus our Monday through Friday solar updates. Who knows? I might feel good enough for this weekend to continue to do those Sunday through Sunday. So we'll see what happens. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you once again for tuning in to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Please like and share and subscribe and hit that notification bell. And make sure you click on the all personal, not the personalized ones, but the all notifications once you click on the bell. And folks, follow us at Facebook, Patreon, Twitter, you name it. You can probably find us on every social media platform at this time. Don't forget to visit us at thegrandsolarminimum.com. Until next time, guys, we will talk soon. Take care.
Do you like this show? Give us a thumbs up. Want to support us more? Share to your favorite social media platform. Buy a t-shirt or become a Patreon. All links are in the description below.